Nnamdi Kanu reaches out to Trump, moves to strengthen legal defense in terrorism case. The leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has written a letter to the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. In the letter, he praised Trump for showing interest in taking action against those responsible for what he described as the Christian genocide in Nigeria. Kanu stated that Trump's comments about the killing of Christians in Nigeria were accurate and could be proven with evidence. He also added that not only Christians but also people who practice the Jewish faith were being targeted. He mentioned several examples, including news reports and media publications that highlight violent attacks carried out against people who follow Judeo-Christian beliefs. The letter, dated November 6, was sent to Vanguard newspapers by his lawyer Aloy Ejimako. The letter reads, "Your Excellency, I extend warm greetings to you in the name of Judeo-Christian faith and values we both hold dear. As a practicing Jew and a believer in the Judeo-Christian heritage that shaped Western civilization, I was honored to attend your campaign event in Des Moines, Iowa in January 2020. Your bold declaration on October 31, 2025 that the United States is prepared to act militarily and cut aid if Nigeria fails to protect its Christian population has ignited hope in the hearts of millions who have been abandoned by the world. You have seen the truth. Christians in Nigeria faced an existential threat. I read to you now to reveal that this genocide is not confined to the north. It has metastasized into the Igbo heartland, where Judeo-Christians are being systematically exterminated under the guise of counter-terrorism. I am Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra IPOB, a peaceful, non-violent civil rights movement rooted in Judeo-Christian principles. Since 2015, I have survived 4 documented assassination attempts by the Nigerian state. On 20 June 2021, I was abducted from Kenya in an extraordinary rendition operation, an act that violated Kenyan and international law, as condemned by a Kenyan High Court ruling, petition number E282 of 2021. Despite this ruling, I was illegally transported to Nigeria and thrown into solitary detention in Abuja without a valid subsisting charge and for the sole crime of defending my people's right to life, faith, and self-determination under international law. On August 13, October 2022, the Court of Appeal in Abuja discharged and acquitted me of all charges, ruling that my rendition was illegal, unconstitutional, and a gross violation of international law. This court ordered my immediate and unconditional release, yet I remain in solitary detention over 1,596 days since my abduction. The Nigerian government defied its own judiciary, refusing to release me as ordered. I was never released, so there was no re-arrest, only continued unlawful imprisonment in blatant violation of constitutionally protected double jeopardy safeguards under Section 36, Subsection 9 of the 1999 Constitution and Article 7, Subsection 2 of the African Charter. The UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, Opinion Number 25, 2022, declared my continued imprisonment arbitrary, unlawful, and politically motivated. This is not justice. This is state capture of the rule of law to silence a Judeo-Christian voice, a hidden genocide against Judeo-Christians in eastern Nigeria. The same extremist-backed forces you have condemned in the north, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Fulani militias, operate with state complicity in the southeast and Igbo-speaking territories of Benue, Kogi, and Delta. These atrocities are irrefutably documented. Nkpo Biafra Heroes Day Massacre, 30 May 2016. Amnesty International 2016. He cited the killing of 20 IPOB members in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, In 2017, during a pro-Trump rally shortly after his emergence during his first tenure. Since my illegal rendition, Nigeria has declared IPOB a terrorist organization despite zero evidence of violence, confirmed by US State Department 2021. Orchestrated unknown gunmen attacks using state-backed militias, then blamed IPOB. Killed over 2,000 Igbo youth in counter-terrorism operations. This is Rwanda playbook. Create chaos, blame the victim, justify extermination. Dear Trump, you said America will act. Now is the moment. I am respectfully urging you to launch a US-led independent inquiry into state-sponsored massacres of Judeo-Christians in eastern Nigeria with full access to mass graves, military logs, and survival testimonies. Convene congressional hearings on the Igbo Christian genocide, featuring the 13 October 2022 Court of Appeal judgment discharging me. Disobeyed by the government. Imposed targeted Magnitsky Act sanctions on Lieutenant General Tako Buratai, current DSS Director General Yusuf Bichi, Southeast military commanders implicated in Obigbo support an internationally supervised referendum on self-determination for the Igbo people, the only peaceful path to ending the cycle of violence, as affirmed by the Africa Charter on Human and People's Rights, Article 20. Mr. President, history would judge us by what we do when genocide knocks. You have the power to stop a sacred Rwanda in Africa. One tweet, one sanction, one inquiry could save millions. I remain steadfast in peace, faith, and non-violence, even from a prison cell. IPOB rejects every form of violence. We seek only justice, truth, and freedom. May God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who delivered Israel from Pharaoh, grant you wisdom and courage to deliver his people once again. With deepest respect and urgent hope. Looking at the purpose of this letter, you can see that Nnamdi Kanu wrote this letter to appreciate Donald Trump for acknowledging and speaking against alleged attacks on Christians in Nigeria. He also wanted to draw international attention to what he describes as religious persecution and violence. The key claims here is that there is an ongoing Christian genocide in Nigeria. Jewish followers, whom he identifies as part of the Judeo-Christian faith, are also under attack. Kanu claims to have documentary evidence and media sources to support these allegations. Now, this letter attempts to grow international sympathy and support, especially from the US. It also aims to pressure world leaders to take action or investigate the alleged killings. This is another way IPOB seeks global recognition for their cause and the struggles of the Igbo and Christian communities. Mentioning Trump is strategic, as Trump has previously spoken out on global Christian persecution. Meanwhile, the detained leader of the Indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, on Wednesday has agreed to consult his legal team before opening his defense in the terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government. Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court Abuja advised Kanu to seek proper legal guidance after he repeatedly insisted that the 7-count terrorism charge against him was invalid. Although Kanu initially declined to proceed with his defense, he later informed the court that he would confer with his lawyer, listing Nnemeka Ejiofor, Aloy Ejimako, Maswe Okpara, and Mandela Umegborogu as his legal representatives. Following his request, Justice Omotosho granted an adjournment until November 7, marking the 4th time the IPOB leader has been given an opportunity to either open his defense or formally waive his right to do so. Nnamdi Kanu had earlier in October dismissed his former legal team led by ex-Attorney General of the Federation, Kanu Agabi-san, opting to represent himself in court. Initially, he listed 23 eyewitnesses, including Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to testify on his behalf. However, he later reversed his position that the charges against him were baseless and unknown to Nigerian law. At Wednesday, November 4 sitting, Kanu maintained that the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, under which he was being tried, had been repealed, insisting that the prosecution failed to amend charges as directed by the Supreme Court. The prosecution, led by Adegboyega Awomolo San, urged the court to compel Kanu to comply with its earlier order to either begin his defense or waive his rights. However, Justice Omotosho stated that in the interest of justice, the court would again bend backward to allow Kanu seek proper legal counsel before proceeding. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB, has been in custody since June 2021 after his controversial arrest and extradition from Kenya to Nigeria. He faces a 7-count charge bordering on terrorism, incitement, and membership of an unlawful organization. The federal government accuses him of using Radio Biafra broadcasts to incite violence and promote secessions in Nigeria's southeast region. Kanu, however, maintains that his agitations for Biafra is peaceful and lawful. His trial has experienced several delays due to changes in legal representation, procedural objections, and disputes over the validity of the charges. The case continues to draw significant public attention, particularly from human rights groups and political observers who have called for his release or a fair and speedy trial.